Task 5. The aim: to create a tonal drawing of a still life using ink and wax. Objectives: to develop objective drawing skills and to create a tonal drawing. So guidance. Before you start your drawing, you'll need to set up a still life, easel and drawing board. Select white objects in a range of shapes and sizes. Dramatically light the still life from one side in a darkened room. Draw them using a tone that suggests the three-dimensionality of the form. The effects of bright light and strong shadows will create a moody, powerful feel to the still life. So here I am mapping out the still life using the pencil and thumb measurement method. Here you can see the tools which you need to execute this drawing. You'll need to ready your materials before you start the tonal aspects. So you'll be mixing up light tones, mid-tones and a dark tone by adding water and diluting the ink in 3 pots. Test the solution out on a scrap piece of paper to make it clear that you have the tonal range you require from the lightest to the darkest tone. Once you're happy with the accuracy of your drawing, you can turn your attention to studying the tonal range from the lightest to the darkest element hitting the still life. So leaping forward a little bit, and just to underline the stages and the aims of the process before we start adding tone, what we are doing is using the wax candle to block out areas of tone we don't want the ink to cover. We do the waxing process 3 times, and we use 3 stages of applying the ink, from a light to a mid and a dark tone. At each stage we let the paper dry before we use a waxing process. Obviously the wax resists the ink. So now I'm using my white wax crayon to put in the lightest tones on my drawing. So I'm really studying the still life. I'm studying how the light is hitting the 3-dimensional objects, and I'm going to use a searching contour line to map out the lightest tones. So this white wax crayon, I'm identifying those brightest areas and I'm working the surface. This will sort of become very clear when we do our first wash, as the white wax crayon will resist the ink and we'll see our first white tone. The drawing process gives it a very sculptural quality, and you do, if you look in the history of art, people like Henry Moore and his drawings of the underground and his sheep drawings and the sculptural sort of forms. It's a marvellous way to create a 3-dimensionality on that 2-dimensional plane by working your wax crayon using a searching contour line. I'm taking the lightest tone and a brush, and I'm very freely working the surface of the picture plane. You can see that the ink is being resisted by the wax crayon. Difficult to see in the video, but in actuality can see the pencil lines and the wax marks I've made, and you can see it resisting the ink. Just using a little bit of tissue and cotton buds to take off any excess ink on the lightest tonal areas. So let the paper dry before you do the next stage, which is using a candle to work out the first area of mid-tone. If you don't want to hang around, you can use a hairdryer to speed this process up. But I suggest you use the candle to work over the lightest tones and the first mid-tone area. Again, what you need to do is to spend time squinting at the still life, really studying the differences between the darkest, the lightest and the mid-tones, and only working over the lightest and the first mid-tone area in preparation for the next inking using a mid-tone of ink. Just to underline something, when I'm using my wax crayon or my candle, I'm really drawing with it. I'm doing that searching contour line. So I'm applying the mid-tone of my ink, and you can see that it's emerging a little sort of more dramatically than the first sort of tone. At times in this sort of process you feel you might lose the drawing and you have to wrestle it back, but keep the sort of faith, and the end result you should have quite a dramatically contrasting drawing. Using the candle to work into another second mid-tone, and then the final darkest tone of inking, you can really see the full contrast of the drawing start to emerge. Here I'm just sort of dabbing the drawing, some of the excess ink, and preparing it for the last sort of stage. After the drawing is dried, I take a opinel knife or a craft knife, scratching away at the surface, sculpting it in a sense to highlight the lightest tones.